Hello world. I've been working on a content system called Zerve, and it's available now for you to try at alpha.zerve.app. And today I want to show you quickly how and why you can use Zerve to manage content and manage configuration inside of a React Native app. So let's get into it. So I've created an app, and of course I'm using Expo and React Native because what am I going to do, like build the app twice? No. So here in the app you can see we have a title that's hard-coded. So if we want to change this text on a day-to-day basis, we would have to go and redeploy the app, which is a technical and complicated process. We want to let some non-technical person come in here, at the end of the month, it's October, and they'll say like, Happy Halloween. And actually, I'm not sure, is that how you spell Halloween? Halloween. Okay, actually I had it right. So anyways, we want to let people edit this content, someone who actually knows how to spell Halloween, for example. And I've also been working on this awesome new feature. Here you can see it. It's a really cool new feature, but we want to launch it at a very specific time. We don't want to necessarily have to redeploy the application when we launch this. And this is generally called a feature flag. So this is the sort of thing that Zerve can help you with. So here I've logged into alpha.zerve.app, and here's my personal email address. I guess I'm doxing myself in this video. And here also you can see that this is my username up here, but it says Anon. So this is actually, I haven't set a username, and this is a confusing part of the app right now. The real username is here in the URL. It's like a temporary username. So let's go into the account settings and create a new username. I'm just going to go ahead and claim Eric. Okay. And I'll create a new store called Example. Now, in the store, we need to be able to configure our mobile app. So I'll create a little entry in here called config. And if we set the schema, we can see there's different schemas that we can set, like we can set this to be a text, a list, or an object. But because we want to load this one thing that provides a lot of different configuration for our mobile app, I'm going to want to set this as an object. And then inside of the object, we can set the properties. And I'll create a new property called headline. And we'll also create a new property called new feature enable. Enable new feature. So now that we've created our schema, we can go into the entry and see that it now resembles our thing. We can go ahead and add a headline and add the Boolean for enable new features for enable new feature. And I'll go ahead and hit save, even though I realize now that the save button is actually off the screen. No big deal. You can imagine that there's a save button down there. And now we want to basically access this content, this configuration from our application. So how are we going to do that? We need to go and write some code. We need to go ahead and integrate it. So the first thing we'll do is we're going to add the Zerve CLI to our code base. We're going to do this with an add-d so that it's saved as a dev dependency. We're not actually going to be using this in our production code. Okay. And we're also going to want to get the client. So the client depends on React Query. So we're going to first add React Query, and we're also want to get the Zerve client. So now in our package.json, you can see we have all this stuff installed, and we're going to add some configuration called Zerve. And here we're going to set the dynamic sync, which means these are the things that our client is actually going to sync from the Zerve service. And this is the name of the client on our application. We'll call it example store. And we need to set the URL, and the URL convention looks like this. And you can see that here's the user and the store name inside of the URL. Now, because we have the CLI installed, we can go ahead and run yarn zerve sync. And this is going to create the client for us. It creates the Zerve directory, and it creates our example store client. Now let's take a look at what that code actually looks like. And we can see that it has the config entry here, as well as the headline and the enable new feature. So all of this stuff is going to be type safe. And if we scroll down, we can even see that the API that we're going to use is called useConfig. So it's a hook that we've got set up. So let's jump into our application and go ahead and grab useConfig and grab the data off of it. And it's called data in this case because this is actually React Query that we're calling. And we can pass in any sort of React Query options into useConfig. So now we can use this data. Let's go ahead and punch in the headline, config.headline, if the config is available. And as you can see that the headline there was type safe, we also have config.enable new feature, and that's going to allow us to turn this new feature on. If enable new feature is there, we will render our new feature. Otherwise, we will just render null. So that's how we're going to set up our very basic feature flag for our awesome new feature. So let's reload our application and see. Oh, well, okay, I guess it's just not going to work. No, I'm just kidding. This is expected because, like I said, we're using React Query, so we need to set up the React Query query client provider. So that's pretty straightforward. We create a new query client, and we pass that in through the provider. So now, of course, anyone on our team, like on the content team, can come in and edit this headline for Halloween. Say, Happy Halloween, or whatever it is that you want to say to your users. And, when the new feature, when it's time to launch the new feature, your CEO can come and press this button to turn the new feature on and press save. Then your users, when the app reloads, or when it's generally requeried, they get access to these new features. They can see this new headline. And that's generally what it's like to use the Zerve content system so far. And you can see that it's really important here that we have type safety available for our developers. So I think that's one of the cool features here. So that's been a quick intro to the Zerve app. It's now available in alpha, so it's going to be free for the next 6 months or so. And at that point, a paid offering will be available. And it's also open source, so feel free to jump in and contribute. So thanks for joining me. If you've made it to this point in the video, you're clearly loving this, so please like and subscribe, and let me know what you want to see next in the comments. And yeah, I'm literally just like wandering the world. You should see where I am right now. I'm just... This is Vis in Croatia, and it's been good. I'll see you next time.